Welcome, everybody, to a Vaguely Familiar podcast, the real-time section of the Vaguely Familiar podcast. My name is Nazar Sayed, and with me is my brother and partner in crime,
Bashaar.
Yes, Bashaar is here with us today, and we're going to be talking about Batman. But before that, I just wanted to quickly apologize to Hassan Minaj, who we didn't have enough time on the show to discuss and to have him on. So next time, Hassan, you're definitely going to be on. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say, why are you wearing all black? Like, do you think you're Bruce Wayne or something? Like, what's going on here?
Bro, the way that Bruce Wayne in the Batman
Where's your Lambo?
Is super duper like emo. I don't even think I can pull it off with this kind of look. I have to be
Who's
wearing
your
like
Alfred?
a Blink 182 t-shirt. You're my Alfred, bro.
What the hell?
What? You're my Robin?
Yeah.
Jeez. Nah. I'm just wearing black for the culture, bro. It's Batman Day, and we're gonna be watching The Batman tomorrow, by Matt Reeves, starring
It's
Robert
not Batman.
Pattinson.
It's the Batman.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? Remember when we were naming our podcast?
Yeah.
And we were like, dude, is it the broadcast podcast? Is it the Vaguely Familiar? Is it whatever? And I want to know in the marketing department for the Batman, how many times that conversation came up.
You know, you make mistakes and you learn from them. Like, we made the mistake with the original podcast name and then we changed it twice.
Yeah.
So hopefully once you watch the movie tomorrow, we can see if the next movie that they make, if they are going to make one, will they change the name for that?
Yeah, that'll be interesting because they kept, so the first one in the Nolan trilogy was Batman Begins, and then it was The Dark Knight, and then The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah. So I mean, they stuck with it, and I feel like this will be The Batman, and then the second one will be The Batman something else, The Batman Vengeance is here. I don't know. Today we're here to talk about our favorite Batman for Batman Week.
Our individual favorites. I don't know what your favorite one is. We haven't discussed that yet.
No. That's the whole point. That's the whole point, right? We haven't discussed who our favorite Batmen are. And there's a myriad of Batmen to go through that we will briefly touch upon a little bit of every one of them that we know. Some of them I'm familiar with. Some of them you're familiar with.
But they're all vaguely familiar.
They're all vaguely familiar. Some of them more familiar than others. And we'll definitely touch upon our favorite parts of each Batman and then the ultimate Batman. And then we'll see if tomorrow that perspective, that view changes or not, depending on how the movie is or isn't. Rotten Tomatoes right now is at 86% for the Batman.
What's the IMDb?
IMDb's at like 7.9, 8. It's pretty solid for IMDb. Metacritic was at like, I think also like the high.
Thing is,
high 80s.
I don't really trust DC. I don't trust them.
Okay, but do you trust Matt Reeves?
I trust him, but because he's in DC now,
yeah,
I don't trust him anymore. Like, they have a terrible track record.
Okay.
Right? Starting from Batman vs. Superman, Man of Steel, not a big fan.
Okay. Very hot take on this podcast.
Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Like, you have such cool superheroes, so many amazing villains, but you still repetitively make crappy movies. Like, how do you do that? Like, Suicide Squad, it being a trash movie, it made like $800 million.
Yeah.
So imagine how much it would make if it was a good movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing your concerns.
Yeah.
And all I'm gonna say is that every review that I've read has focused on the fact that how did Warner Brothers greenlight this movie? This is a genre-bending movie, meaning that this has completely blown away critics that this kind of movie got made. It's a noir. It's like a 70s crime movie. That's the vibe that I'm getting. I'm talking about The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz. It's giving a very strong Seven vibe. It's giving a very strong Prisoners vibe. That's why Paul Dano is in it. It's like everything that I'm hearing about this movie so far has been, I can't believe Warner Brothers actually paid money to get this made. And if this is the future of comic book movies, at least in the DCEU, then sign me up for it.
I mean, I'm not really surprised that Warner Brothers paid for this, but it's the Batman. Commercially, it will make money. People will go and watch this movie, like no matter how dark it is.
Yeah.
What the reviews are, and again, going back to my example of Suicide Squad,
yeah,
it being so bad still made $0.8 billion.
Yeah.
So
that's a very good way to put it. $0.8 billion.
Yeah, $0.8 billion. It's quick maths.
But the thing
I
is,
have to redeem myself after you
but
embarrassed me
here-
last podcast.
here's
about the whole conversion.
bro. You know, one of us has a degree right now, but
yeah.
all I'm saying is the maths is stronger on this side. I'm just saying, what was the last DC movie you watched?
The last DC movie I watched was Justice League, the Snyder Cut.
Okay. Oh yeah, we watched that together. I think that was the last one
Because
that
I never
watched.
watched the original Justice League.
Oh,
And
interesting.
people have told me that was a very good call on my end to not watch it. And then
That's how did you resist that?
I
Just
don't know.
reviews?
I think that was at a point in my life where I was sort of done with superhero movies. I was like, man, it's repetitive. What is the point?
Really, even like the Justice League couldn't get you back in the theaters.
No. And
Wow.
also it was DC, right? And
You felt really burnt by BVS.
yes. And
Interesting.
again, like superhero movies in general, right? Even with all the Marvel movies that were coming out back to back to back,
Yeah,
it just got really repetitive for me.
I see what you're
And,
saying.
I had to kind of talk to myself and reconvince myself to go back to the theaters for superhero movies.
But so like after that, you probably saw like the Infinity War and Endgame,
Absolutely, right?
and that was like redeeming enough.
yes, and like when you're watching superhero movies, you gotta turn off part of your brain,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I had to just convince myself to do that because if you're out there nitpicking mistakes and things that are just not
Continuity errors and
things are just not possible in
plot
real life.
holes, yeah.
You're watching a superhero movie, right? A billionaire guy who's a vigilante at night.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, there is
reality is far from that.
for sure. There is a suspension of disbelief for sure. They ask you to do that when you buy the ticket. But I think I'm there with you with the BVS stuff. Let's go backwards then. Let's just go backwards with Batman versus Superman. The latest iteration of Batman that we got was Ben Affleck.
And I know that we have very contrary views on Ben Affleck's Batman.
Okay. What do you think about Ben Affleck's Batman? And now I'm saying you have to take into account Batman versus Superman, and you have to take into account Justice League.
Yeah.
Snyderverse. We're talking Snyderverse only here, right?
Why are we talking about Snyderverse?
No, because Batman was a big part in it.
One of my
Big part
friends
of it.
said that Snyder Cut was so good, 4 hours, right? I'm
Mhm.
like, if you give Christopher Nolan 4 hours, imagine what he would make.
doesn't have necessarily equate to the same level of quality. Long doesn't mean good. What is an example of long doesn't mean good? Let me think about this.
Like Batman Begins was like 2 hours ish,
No, all of them were 220.
220. Okay.
220, 230. I think the longest Batman movie we ever got was The Dark Knight Rises, which was around 235, 240.
Right, but I mean, even if you look at like Endgame, right?
It was 235.
Right, exactly. So
But that doesn't
a
mean good.
lot of characters there, but they were still able to squeeze it within that time limit.
Okay, but at the same time, like Endgame had like 18, 20 movies behind it for that to be there. Like for Vision to die, if you just watched Infinity War and
Okay, so
that was the first time you're seeing Vision, you don't give a shit.
Maybe they rushed through to making the Justice League, right?
Okay, but my point is that Zack Snyder's Justice League, did you like it or not?
The Snyder Cut?
Yeah.
Yes, I like that. I did like it.
Okay,
yes.
so the Snyder Cut Batman, did you like that or not?
I did. But again, not my favorite Batman.
Why?
Okay, this is gonna sound really weird, but I just
Go.
don't like how Ben Affleck looks in a suit, and I don't like this portion, the chin portion. He has a butt chin.
Yeah, okay.
He's
He's played superheroes twice. You know that, right?
I'm sorry,
He's played superheroes twice. He's played Daredevil as well.
Yeah, okay.
So
Right,
like
so-
the chin didn't matter then.
To me, it does. As a Batman fan, the chin matters.
Yeah.
This action figure that I have right here
Yeah.
does not have a double chin, and I guess I'm not used to that.
Mm.
And so
Okay. Technical gripes. We can't change that.
right. I mean, a very very minute thing, and that's just from a personal level that I just don't like him.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I've seen Christian Bale as Batman for so long that it was a bit weird for me to see Ben Affleck put on the suit and be the new Batman.
So, okay, apart from that, how did you like his Bruce Wayne? How did you like his Batman? Did any of it stick with you, or was it just like,
I thought he was a good Bruce Wayne
yeah,
because you have to also consider, right? It's he's an older Batman.
Yeah,
he's a more mature Batman.
he's gone
He's
through
seen
it.
things.
Yeah.
He's been through life.
Yeah,
The struggles.
yeah.
Billionaire guy. Anyways, so I liked how it played out. But not my favorite by any means. What
Okay.
what did you think of it? Because I know you were a
So
big fan.
I'm a big Ben Affleck Batfleck guy.
Okay.
I think his Batman is the best Batman. His Batman is the best Batman, not the best Bruce Wayne, but it's the best Batman we've got. He's big, he's bulky, he's brutish, he's violent, he's maniacal. The way he like is out there trying to take down Superman, it's just the vengeance that he has in his eyes for the people of Metropolis and Gotham is just that's the vengeance that I think that Batman needs to have, especially in that point of his life. I think Ben Affleck was the perfect guy to do this. I think the world is a mess without that Ben Affleck movie that they greenlit and then they took back to make this Batman, the one that's coming out. I think he was just a good Batman in a bad movie. You give that. I'm talking about BVS because Justice League I still think was pretty good. BVS was okay. I gave it like a 6.5 out of 10, which is I think fair. And I gave that to the extended version of BVS, which was about, again 3 hours long, and that was a bit more better. That was better because it was a bit more fleshed out. That iteration of Batman works for me. It's just that I wish I could have gotten a solo Batman movie in his late 40s. Maybe there's a Robin. Maybe he's dead. Joker's out there. Leto's Joker at the end of the Justice League, the Snyderverse. I liked that. Open hair, no tattoos. Give that to me. I want to see that. Will we ever see it? I think I'm very sure we're never gonna see that. Like that's it. That's the end of the Snyderverse right there.
Because isn't Jared Leto in Marvel now? Like,
yeah, he's playing Morbius now, and like he has like Spider-Man deals coming up, and I'm pretty sure like that's it for like, which is ironic. Like he played Batman's villain only to go to the Marvel universe to play literally a bat.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty ironic. And yeah, I think Ben Affleck's Batman was just right person, wrong time. Would have loved to see a great Batman movie with Ben Affleck starring and directing, and maybe writing as well. Didn't get to see that, but it's okay. Life goes on. He's gonna be in the Flashpoint movie where they're having multiple Batmen in it. Did you know this?
no, like a multiverse of their own.
Yes. So they set that up in Justice League, and they set that up in
Because
BVS.
wasn't that also part of one of the cartoons, right?
Flashpoint Paradox.
No, there was another cartoon where there's a really old Bruce Wayne who then takes whenever a new Batman under his wing and he trains him.
You're talking about Batman Beyond?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but the
Batman the animated series, right?
You know, you're talking about Batman Beyond, where Terry
Right.
McGinnis comes in, and it's like in the future, and there's a black Batman with like, well, he's white, but there's a black suit
Yes.
with the red thing on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Batman Beyond.
yeah, right. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yes, that happens, but that's not, I think, what they were going for. They're going for Flashpoint Paradox, which is like shortest summary possible. Barry Allen, who's Flash, goes back in time to save his mom, saves his mom, goes to the future again, and in his present, and everything's changed.
Okay.
That's what he's dealing with, which is like in that version, Bruce Wayne dies. This is really fascinating, by the way. In the Flashpoint version, Bruce Wayne dies instead of his parents. His dad becomes Batman, and his mom becomes the Joker.
What?
Yeah, she goes insane because her son died. She's sent to an asylum.
Oh, Batman's parents.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So she goes insane. She goes to asylum, turns into Joker. He goes like, I'm gonna never let this happen to the city again. Nobody's son has to die like this. He turns into Batman.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like a parallel multiverse universe that's going on. So long story short, Batflick and Michael Keaton are both in the Flashpoint Paradox.
Really?
Yeah, he's reprising his role as Batman again, and Ben Affleck is gonna be Batman for the last time in that movie. Rumors of Christian Bale are also out there.
Wow, this is gonna be huge.
Yeah, because they're trying to split their multiverse, right? They're doing their own thing with like there's multiple Flashes. The TV show Flash,
Yeah.
he's in the movie.
Okay.
There's like 3 different versions of Ezra Miller's Flash. Like it's just insane.
Right. These are all great ideas, right? But
Great
again,
ideas.
industrial reference. DC has great ideas. They have good characters. We talked about this already.
You know,
But their execution is flawed.
I mean, the new Suicide Squad
Right?
did well.
I don't want there to be a 2.5 hour movie about this and then be like, okay, we weren't able to execute it, so here's a 4 hour
cut.
right?
Okay, I get that, but I feel like they're giving their creators more to do and less interference now. Like if you see the new Suicide Squad, I mean, people loved it. I didn't see it. I can't speak for it, but people loved it. It was directed by James Gunn, who directed Guardians of the Galaxy. He directed the John Cena Peacemaker. This is all news to you, I know.
I've heard of James Gunn's name. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is all news that he's done this, right?
Okay.
This is how disconnected you are from the DCEU, that like you're just like, I don't even know what's going on. So there's a TV show on HBO Max called Peacemaker, starring the main character from what's his face from the Suicide Squad, and that was also directed by James Gunn. And spoiler alert for Peacemaker, the end of that show, the Justice League show up, and that's
Okay.
John Cena's character. And like Aquaman is there, Barry Allen is there. Like they're trying to knit things together. They're trying to take the pieces and like put them together. They don't know if Henry Cavill is ever going to be Superman again. They don't know who's going to be the next Batman after Ben Affleck. I get that, but I like that they're trying to sort of set the sail
Yeah.
right. Anyways, moving back to Batman, that was my iteration. I think Ben Affleck's Batman #1. Going previously, before Ben Affleck's Batman, we also got a Lego Batman version of Batman voiced by Will Arnett. Did you see that?
No, I know who Will Arnett is because
Yeah.
he's on the Smart List podcast.
And Arrested Development.
Yes, and I think you went to watch that movie in theaters, right?
Love that movie. I love that. The Lego Batman movie is amazing. It's charming. It's beautiful. It's heartwarming. It's hilarious, as you would expect.
Right.
And it's just like, you've seen Into the Spider-Verse, right?
Yeah.
That Lego Batman is that for Batman.
Okay.
It's self-referential. Like he knows that he's been in these different movies. Will Arnett is doing dialogues from The Dark Knight and like the old Batman. Like it's just so funny. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Justice League is there. Also, like it's just amazing. So I have to give Will Arnett like honorable mention. He's not in my top 3 as the best Batman ever.
Okay.
But honorable mention for Will Arnett and the Lego Batman and the Lego movie. He's great. Going previously behind that, we got Christian Bale.
Christian Bale.
Thoughts?
Christian Bale.
Thoughts on Christian Bale as Batman?
I have sentiments connected with this person.
Okay, sentiments.
Right. I grew up watching Batman Begins, the whole
Uh-huh.
Dark Knight trilogy, and like when I thought of Batman, I thought of Christian Bale. Like that's
Yeah.
how much my mind has been programmed to see Christian Bale as Batman.
Yeah.
And so I personally really loved his Batman. Maybe minus the whole deep where is she voice.
Really, you think that that's grown stale over the years?
Maybe it's because of like culturally it's become sort of a joke at this
Yeah, it's
point,
become
right?
a meme.
I'm Batman.
Yeah.
One of those memes. So maybe because of that. But I just loved how greatly executed those movies were.
Yeah.
And also
Yeah.
how Christian Bale fit in,
Yeah.
right? And all that.
I think the thing with Christian Bale is that he was a good Batman in a great movie.
Yeah.
All 3 of them. He had the best villains. He had the best script. He had one of the best directors in the world directing him. How could you go wrong
The
with
best composer, Hans Zimmer.
that? Hans Zimmer, like literally uplifting every scene he's ever composed. Like the formula was there for him to succeed.
Yeah.
I think like we said, Ben Affleck being the best Batman iteration. I think Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne was the best Bruce Wayne iteration. I think he's suave. There's a dark side to him. He looks like a billionaire. He looks like he can get all these women. He looks like he can throw all these parties. It's just it's great to see, right? His
Yeah.
Batman, I always felt like his Batman was always overshadowed by his villains. They were just better than him.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger, arguably one of the best performance, like at least the top 10, top 15 performances of all time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you stand up? It's your name on the marquee. I get that. But Heath Ledger stole that movie,
Yeah.
The Dark Knight. It's not his fault. Like he did the best Batman that he could do. Heath came in and stole it. Bane. Amazing Bane. He's brutish, big, huge. I would love to see Christopher Nolan's Bane versus Ben Affleck's Batman. Like that's the size comparison. Gets the shit kicked out of him. And Bane like steals that movie as well. He's just so menacing and he's so overpowering and evil and like just you're scared of Bane throughout
Yeah.
that movie. It's because he's that size, man. He's just that big, and Bruce Wayne again, when he's shriveled and old in that starting of that movie, he represents that kind of Batman. It's great to see. Like
Yeah.
his Bruce Wayne is insane. His Batman always overshadowed by the villains. Even in the first one, Ra's al Ghul.
I thought he had some really good, cool gadgets, which is also a part of what makes Batman really cool,
Yeah.
right? Like the bike that he had, the car that turns into a bike,
Oh yeah, that was
and
amazing.
then all of the weapons, him jumping off a building.
The car that turns into a hover car.
Oh,
Remember that? Dark Knight Rises?
yeah,
Like, yeah, the cool gadgets, the thing that the spikes, everything. Like, it's great. And like, that's why I also really enjoyed Ben Affleck's Batman, coming back to Ben Affleck's Batman, is because that was just more modernized. He had an Iron Bat suit. He had like, these really cool cars and like these quippy lines like, oh, what's your superpower again? I'm rich. Like, stuff like that. Like, I love that. And Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne, again, top tier Bruce Wayne. Ben Affleck's Batman, top tier Batman.
I think the way that you put it was the best, where you said Christian Bale's Batman was a good Batman in great movies.
Yeah.
So that sort of uplifted him,
Yeah.
his character and the role
But
that
because
he
here's the
played.
thing, right? The Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
You think about that. What is the first person that comes into your head?
Joker,
Heath Ledger. What is the second person that comes to your head?
Bane.
Bane. What is the third person that comes to your head?
Like, yeah,
Batman.
Batman.
Right? So like if you're the marquee person and you're the third in line, which is not a bad thing. Like I'm still saying that's not a bad problem to have. It's just that the Batman villains are more interesting.
Yeah.
Right? The first movie was all Batman. His like the Batman doesn't show up until like 45 minutes into that movie because you're just setting it up, you're building this character, and I love it. That's the Bruce Wayne shit that I love, man.
Yeah.
That's the stuff where he's building character, he's learning from his mistakes, he's he's practicing it, he's becoming a ninja, he's becoming invisible. I love to see that. As soon as he puts on the cowl and puts on the cape, it's all about the villains. Can the villains hold up? And that's why the Dark Knight trilogy is one of the best trilogies of all time. It's because the villains are so good.
Yeah.
Batman has an arsenal of villains too.
The Dark Knight, right?
Yeah.
One of the main conflicts that the Joker created was that in order for Batman to succeed, he had to break the one rule that he had, right? He doesn't kill people. And the night where he had to save Harvey, he had to make a decision to let Rachel go.
Again, that's a villain that's overpowering its superhero.
Yeah.
If you think about it, The Dark Knight is a movie where the villain wins and the hero loses.
Yeah.
How many times do you get to see that?
In a way where you don't even think about it, right? It's
Yeah.
like this guy destroyed
Gotham City. He
Gotham
ended
City.
Bruce Wayne's life and like his romantic life. He ended Harvey Dent's life. Harvey Dent's done. What do?
the
Yeah.
police. He handed that as well.
Yeah, and Batman had to take the blame.
Yeah.
Like that's how good that movie was. And you hardly get to see that because you're so now, especially, you're so inundated with the Avengers where the bad guy always wins. That's why I have so much affinity towards Infinity War, where they actually made the villain win.
Yeah.
That's insane. You don't see that. And when you leave that theater, you feel it, man. You feel the palpability. You're like, this was a superhero movie. These guys were supposed to win.
Yeah.
And like, there's hardly you ever see that happen. And that's why I give props to Christian Bale's Batman, especially that movie, The Dark Knight, because they pulled it off.
I also wanted to talk about the animated series
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
because I remember, like, as kids, we used to watch a lot of the Batman animated series. on
Kevin
Cartoon
Conroy.
Network.
Kevin Conroy was the voice of the animated Batman.
I still remember the opening credits of that.
Yeah.
The whole music where there's a thief, and then there's a fight. The Batman logo goes up, and in the end, the Batman's just standing there. There's thunder in the back.
Oh my God, I got goosebumps right now. I was
Yeah.
thinking about that.
So it was just so iconic.
Yeah.
It was
That's why Kevin Conroy is my number 3 Batman.
okay.
It's number 1 Ben Affleck, number 2 Christian Bale, number 3 Kevin Conroy. Man, what a voice! Like that voice is imprinted in your head as the quintessential Batman voice.
Yeah.
it's just iconic. That version of Batman, the animated series, and Batman Beyond, and then Justice League. I think Kevin Conroy and like Batman, the movie, The Mask of the Phantasm, and all that. Man, Kevin Conroy really put it in.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna give shout out to Kevin Conroy, you gotta give shout out to Mark Hamill's Joker too. That was an insane Joker, the animated one. Like you, he was so good that he even voiced it in the games. Like he had to do that. It's like Mark Hamill's voice was made to play the Joker. It's so iconic. I love it. Nice call on that. That's what I was gonna ask you about. Like, do you give Kevin Conroy's Batman also props?
I do, absolutely. I do. I think.
And is he in your top 3?
Yeah, he is. My list is similar to yours, except for I think Christian Bale for me is number 1. Kevin Conroy is number 2. Ben Affleck would be number 3 for me.
All right.
I haven't seen the Lego Batman movie, so
I highly recommend it. I recommend it.
The Will Arnett Batman.
Yeah,
but I can see that he has a voice. He has a really deep voice. Like he's a very podcasting voice.
I don't see any George Clooney in your list. Why? Is it the bat nipples or what are we talking about? What? Are you anti bat nipples?
I can't.
Do you remember the Batman and Robin movie?
I don't actually.
Okay, so I'm glad that you've like completely erased it from your memory because we had a DVD of it and we used to watch it.
Oh, really?
In California. I don't know. This is like a deep core memory of mine. Bro, that scene where
they're like unresolved trauma.
Bro, unresolved trauma. The scene where they're putting on their suits, where they're pulling the underwear over the trousers, and there's a shot of George Clooney's butt. Man, how did that movie get made? Like, I think we should eventually do like a watch along of watching the Batman and Robin live, and do it and like shoot it as a podcast because that stuff. It's so bad that it's good. You know those movies like The Room, where it's so bad that it's that kind of vibe. Like now it's like a cult thing, and George Clooney looks back and he's like, I don't even know what I was doing, bro. I wish I was high. It's like you're blaming on the drugs.
You also never mentioned Michael Keaton's Batman.
Michael Keaton's Batman I never mentioned because I've never seen it.
Right. Do you think Michael Keaton playing Birdman was like a playoff of
for
him
sure
being a Batman?
I think it was a callback at least, and it was ironic. He also plays Falcon in the Spider-Man verse.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you're gonna give him the third wingsuit. Sure, why not? Michael Keaton's Batman is one of those movies that just keeps escaping me. I've never seen it, so I can't comment on it. I know that Jack Nicholson is Joker in that movie, so there has to be.
Was Jim Carrey Joker?
Yeah, Jim Carrey was Joker. So it was Michael Keaton for I think 2 movies, and then Val Kilmer was Batman for 1 movie. So it was Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher, same universe, changed of Batman, and then Joel Schumacher for Batman and Robin, and then that just ended their franchise right there.
Yeah,
and then 6 or 7 years later, Christopher Nolan comes out with Batman Begins that reinvigorates it. And then rest is history, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen the Adam West Batman show either, so I won't comment on that.
Yeah.
But we've had many iterations of Batman over different versions. Like I want to give a big shout out to the Arkham games Batman as well. Great Batman there. He's solid. He's everything that you want as Batman, and you can play him. So like that's a really good Batman story as well, with a really great Bruce Wayne / Batman. Lots of iterations of this character, man. And the one that we're gonna see tomorrow, that's the one that I'm excited about.
Absolutely, looking forward to it. I think this is a great podcast to build up towards that movie. And
What is your anticipation for tomorrow?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I am going in with 0 expectations.
Okay.
And I'm trying not to.
How many trailers did you see?
Maybe one, and then that one scene that you showed me in the courthouse,
the funeral scene.
Yeah. So I'm trying to go literally blindsided, and I want the movie to surprise me, and that could be in a good way or a bad way. So far, I have seen a couple people post reviews, and they said either it's a massive hit or it's going to be a big miss. So I want to see what side of
the coin you fall on
that I am on. Yeah.
Okay, I'm extremely excited about this. Like I've totally set myself up for disappointment. If this movie is not a dime, then I will be really disappointed. But whatever I've heard, because I've been a bit more deep into the whole Rotten Tomatoes stuff and all that, I've seen and noticed that people are very interested and very intrigued and very, very delighted by this movie in a very positive way. People are like, this could have been an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
And that immediately is like, let's see it.
Good. I mean, I'm glad that you got tickets for tomorrow. So
It's
we'll
IMAX,
be
bro,
here.
7 p.m.
We will be
By the
here
time this comes
tomorrow.
out, we'll probably already seen it. But tomorrow, the day, March 4th, right?
4th. Yeah.
March 4th, 2022. What is it today?
It's 3rd tomorrow.
Okay, so March 3rd, 2022, we will have a deep spoiler discussion video up tomorrow night about The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves. Don't forget to look out for that. Thank you guys for sticking around, and my apologies to Hassan Minaj once again. Bashaar, do you want to finish off with anything?
No, I'm looking forward to this. I think this is a great podcast, and I would love to look back and see if maybe
The list changes or not?
the list changes or not based on tomorrow's movie.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I hope that it does. I hope that it does. That's my thing. I want Robert Pattinson to succeed. I want him to be number one on my list. And yeah, with that being said, guys, thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening wherever you guys are watching. Please, please, please remember to leave a comment. Remember to leave reviews on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. That really helps push the podcast to further listeners. My name is Nazar, guys. I will be signing out. With me, as always, my brother
Bashaar.
and we'll see you guys tomorrow after the Batman.